In 1917, Alice Paul decided to do something even more drastic than marching down Pennsylvania Avenue, and that was to picket the White House. And this is one of the first groups of picketers that were nonviolent, that stood outside of the White House and basically declared their protest of the president in personal terms. So they would carry banners that said, "Mr. President, what will you do for women's suffrage?" The president, of course, being Woodrow Wilson, who had been elected in 1913 and who would carry out 2 terms as president. And he did not endorse the suffrage cause until 1919. So we have about, at this point, we're in 1915, and then in 1917, they start to picket the White House, and so there's 2 long years of picketing. Every day, these women would stand outside of the White House and hold their silent sentinel, as they were referred to by the press. And so they would leave their headquarters, which is across the Lafayette Square, which is situated right in front of the White House. And so on the other side of Lafayette Square was the headquarters of the National Women's Party, and they would leave their headquarters with their banners in hand, carrying the colors of purple, white, and gold, which they had adopted purple into the suffrage colors with Alice Paul's new group, the National Women's Party, around 1913. And basically that was what they did for 2 years and stood their ground. They also included, you can see at the top, there's college women. So they're wearing their banners of which colleges that they went to. So they had thematic days in which college women would protest, or different state delegations would protest, or even working women would protest too. And so they would take, working women only had 1 day off a week from work. And so that was on a Sunday. Basically, they couldn't protest unless it was a Sunday. And so we can talk about the working women here, where you see the title cover of the Maryland Suffrage News depicts a woman who was white, who was a seamstress, who has been working for more than 8 hours today, which are our normal working hours that are regulated by federal law. There were no laws that regulated working. So working women felt that they were being abused and there was no laws that could protect them. So this woman has basically passed out at her sewing treadle, and the illustration was made by Mary Taylor, and it was done for one of the many suffrage chapters across the United States, the Maryland Suffrage Chapter, and it's from the collections of the Maryland Historical Society.